Shalom, my name is Yehoshua ben Abraham. I'm making this video from Jerusalem. I'm a didactic scientist, the author of the trilogy for publication on the internet over the next year. Humanomics is the name of the trilogy. It's comprised of two first principles. Its central organizing principle is the new cognitive behavioral science first principle, receiving to give, which simply means receiving the authentic you. To give the authentic you, to your spouse, your children, your family, community, the nation, and the world. And the second is the new economic paradigm, which is the economics' new first principle for the world's emergent new economy. It replaces the old industrial division of labor model. It is the integration of labor. And I'm its author, as I am the author of Humanomics and its Receiving to Give. Okay, so that's who I am, and that's what I have done. Okay, the purpose of this video is to make clear a number of things that I've said in a number of other videos that I'm getting a lot of emails about that are asking me, would you please tone down the rhetoric and make it clearer and simpler and certainly more accessible and easier to understand. I'll do my best. I will try. And so I will begin with, I'm a didactic scientist, okay? Big highfalutin word. It means self-educated, self-trained. I have accomplishments and skills and achievements in cognitive behavioral science, economics, neuroscience, behavioral science, economics, information science, genetics, neuroscience, and half a dozen other disciplines. Okay, that's who I am and what I do. All right. Now to go from the poetry to the prose, which is really the day-to-day accessible language as best I can. Let's see. Okay. I've had what is called Ruach HaKodesh, which means since I'm the age of about 13, when God speaks, I have the capacity to, I listen first and listen only, to hear, to understand. And I'm not talking about hearing voices, patterns, signs, symbols, and disseminating the grammatic meaning. Okay, so I'll give you one example. There was the 9/11 event, the official narrative, the planes were kidnapped, they were crashed into the Twin Towers, they collapsed. The official narrative is the meaning, and that official narrative is the collapse of man's duality, which signifies and confirms the end of man and mankind's exile on 4 levels. And so that's what it means. All right, so now to even be more clear and even more simply put, basically I received, God said, through communicating and my listening, I understood God revealed what He is about to do and is doing, and I received that I was to write it down. I did. I put it on the internet. And people said, oh, this is ridiculous. And I'll give you another example. 6 weeks before tsunami, I received there would be a massive, unprecedented, massive water shock in the world. Where? I didn't know. That's what I received. So I wrote it down and I communicated. And when tsunami happened, everybody says, wow, is that what you were talking about? Yes. And then others said, oh, lucky guess. Well, there's been hundreds and hundreds of lucky guesses in my life. All right, so God is God, and it's an a priori justified, empirical and logical, and I can even argue from a posteriori positions, from experience of God. But these are things that are beyond the internet. Okay, so now God said what He was going to do. I received it, I wrote it down, and what I do now is I explain, and I'll give you the context. In the Torah, in the Bible, we learn God said, old things pass away and new things I bring, and before I bring them, I tell of I tell man what they will be, okay? And he does that through his servants. I'm his servant, and that's what I'm doing. I received, I wrote it down, and I've said what would be, and it's come to pass. I'll give you another example. The crash on Wall Street. Well, the collapse of the local reality on 9/11, when the Twin Towers came down, it confirmed the collapse of the local. There were 4 levels. On the psychosocial level, I said that means the big picture. It means the East and West systems are collapsed. Well, we saw in Russia on December 25th, 1991, we saw the collapse of the local reality there. What was it? Communism. Next year, 1992, we saw it again in Yugoslavia. Communism collapsed there, and another 6 or 7 countries emerged to freedom. Now we see the collapse of Wall Street on September the 15th, and 1 week later, okay, it is not coming back, folks. And so democracy's capitalism collapsed, and as did so East and West systems both collapsed. On the second level, that's the psychosocial level. On the second level, there is the collapse of the 2 major religions, Christianity and Islam. They're imploding right now. On the third level, the cognitive level, it refers to the 2 largest economies in the world. That's what I received on 9/11. That's the meaning. That's the meta-narrative of the collapse of the Twin Towers. And that it also meant that the 2 largest economies collapsed. Well, America's economy is collapsing, as is Japan's, right now. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out. And the fourth thing that I received on the psycholinguistic level was that the duality, the created duality of man in his mind, which was giving to receive, is finished. That collapsed. That means I give, I get. It's replaced by receive it to give, which I spoke of earlier. Now, this is what God helped and blessed Yeshua to receive. And he said, write it down and tell the world. I did. I said, whoa, what's happening? Okay, so that's the best, and that's what I do. I explain and I teach the meaning of what these things are that are happening. They come from God. They don't come from man. And all the finger pointing and blame game about the collapse of Wall Street and greed, all true in Washington's failure and Wall Street's failure, but the fact is it collapsed. It collapsed because God brought that collapse, and he brought that collapse for his purpose. And that's what I'm about, and that's what I'm teaching, okay? And we had better listen, and we had better fear heaven. Okay, thank God. Okay, so I'm Yehoshua Yaakov, a didactic scientist. The bottom line is redemption brings about the convergence of anthropologic humanism. That's the highest level of the model of secular man globally, and traditional spiritualism of religious, regardless of whether Jewish or Christian or Muslim. And anthropologic humanism and traditional spiritualism are the model that converge in Humanomics' new East-West convergence model. This is what man is destined to be. And the economy, the new emergent world economy based on the direct component, will be participatory and not exclusionary. It will be and based upon Humanomics, which is the new anthropocentric science. That means man-centered science. Okay, that's what's missing. Man has been an object of manipulation, of wealth, materialism, etc., etc., etc. So we're gonna turn the page. We're all going to get on the same page, and we're going to overcome these problems, and we're going to create tens of millions of jobs. And basically, the 60-40 split between consumer spending and housing, which represents the last 6 years of growth of the U.S. economy, is going to change to 60% of Humanomics. New retooling, retraining, re-educating the entire U.S. workforce and the G9 based upon new sunrise industries, new science and technology. That'll be 60% of the economy in a decade. And 25% will be consumer spending and 15% will be housing. That's the mix. That's the policy. That's the name of the game, folks. Washington has to clean house. Wall Street has to clean house. There has to be a new national development policy, the central premise of which is new world-class global technological infrastructure based upon the new economic paradigm model. And that's who I am, and that's what I am, that's what I'm about. Thank you for listening. I'm Yehoshua Yaakov from Jerusalem.